Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Right, just getting the mic set back up. And it looks like it's all set back up. Welcome to episode 58 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. I am your host again, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins. I took a few weeks off. Thank you, Frosty, for filling in last week. I know he went over some of the exciting news that we have going on in the AAC, the Apex Athletic Collective, and obviously we got some news this week as well with the Hoosier State Instigators. But always nice to have Frosty on the Instigate Success podcast, the official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. But I am back now, so I will be here again Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern with all of your news for the AAC and the Hoosier State Instigators. So let's jump into it. I know he probably covered. I hadn't had a chance to rewatch his stream from last week, but I do just want to mention that we do have votes going on even when we're not in the season, especially for our fan voters. So those fan voters had a unique opportunity over the past couple of weeks to make some important decisions in the future of the AAC. So if you're not already a fan voter and you're already involved with the Apex Athletic Collective, I definitely would recommend looking into becoming a fan voter in the future. We have the instigators now, and we continue to look to expand in the future, continue to grow into the sports market, and grow the Apex Athletic Collective. So that's a little teaser if you didn't already see what happened as far as over on the Patreon with that fan vote. So let's jump into this week's episode, though, of Instigate Success with your Hoosier State Instigators news. We had a couple of things this past week that we could do the big news for. We might as well just start it with that, and then everything is basically big news for this week. And this was actually mentioned before, I believe. So we have the Instigation Nation tournament coming up in a few weeks here. This month, September 21st. The registration deadline, though, is approaching soon. Got a little bit over a week left. September 14th is the cutoff. And it's a $200 fee, but it's for a 3-on-3 tournament with a chance to win $1,000. I know our guys have been pushing this over on social media as well. I know Stunna Boy especially has been putting out a bunch of stuff over on social. And we have been pushing this, but it's a huge opportunity for anybody that wants to set up a 3-on-3 team and see if they've got what it takes to compete against the some of the best players in that area and possibly against some instigators as well. But big money prize on the line as well, $1,000. If you split that up into thirds, it doesn't split quite perfectly if you think about it, but a little over $300 per person though. So that is definitely more than that initial fee. So that will be lots of fun. And that will be at 11 a.m. September 21st. But that's kind of like a kickoff for our basketball season. Obviously, we've mentioned in the past our ABA season will start in October this year. So this is kind of like the last hurrah before we jump into full ABA. put the gas pedal down when it comes to that. But this is a cool event for all of our Instigator fans in the area. And, Instigation Nation, cool name there for the tournament. Hopefully, this is something we can continue to do in the future. But we also had that 3-on-3 tournament that we were a part of with D'Angelo Russell, um, his foundation. So that's pretty cool. 3-on-3 basketball as well um, is a bit different when it comes to how that game's played, but it's a lot of fun to watch. And if you play, 2K games, that's a fun mode as well to play. But definitely different type of skill set when it comes to 3-on-3 compared to the 5-on-5 traditional basketball. But lots of fun either way. Instigation Nation tournament coming up here shortly in a few weeks. But definitely, if you or somebody you know would be interested in participating, let them know. The registration ends next week. So they need to get on that pretty soon here to be a part of the Instigation Nation tournament. You can sign up right over on the website to do that. And I'll jump onto the website here in a little bit just to show that as well as some of our other new features over on that website. Again, that website is www.apexofsports.com, and it has a bunch of information for the team as well as a shop and tickets. So the other thing that was this, I believe, was just announced this past week. So we'll do the big news one more time, and that'll probably be the last time we'll run it for this show. But this was a big announcement this past week. Our home opener and our whole schedule was dropped this past week. So the home opener for us is presented by the Stites family. So we do have that listed on there as well. Best Choice Fieldhouse, new home venue. First game that we will be playing officially in the ABA at Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana, Saturday, October 26th. And a lot of our games, you'll notice this, are night games. So this will be a night game. 7:30 is what we have it listed at. But again, Saturday, October 26th, Best Choice Fieldhouse, Fishers, Indiana. It's going to be a lot of fun. First time in the Best Choice Fieldhouse as our new home venue. So that is going to be awesome. You can get your tickets again on our website. But we get to play against the Louisville Pros, a team we've matched up against a few different times here in the past. Our only overtime game was against the pros, so that's always something cool to mention. Again, the overtime rules are a little bit different in the ABA. I think it was a 3-minute period at the end, and honestly, we were a little new to that, so I think we are a little bit better when it comes to the overtime rules at this point now. And believe it goes into 2 overtimes and then an elam ending, but I'd have to double check that if I'm being honest. I do know the initial one is a 3-minute period. But anyways, the pros I think got the best of us when it came to last season. I know they did in that overtime game, and we had a couple of tough fights with them throughout the season. But definitely a familiar foe when it comes to that. I know it was mentioned that we are in a different division, so we did move divisions. We're still in the Central region, but a different division from last season. So some of the teams we will be facing off against are a little different than the teams we faced off against last year, but you'll still see some familiar faces as well. And when we sat down and did the scheduling, obviously we want to have a well-rounded schedule, try to face off against some of the best teams, not only in our division, but in the region that we play in, the Central region. And match up against some of the teams we faced off against last year to keep growing. Maybe a rivalry of some sorts, but to at least have familiar foes that we get to face off against and kind of see where we rank as we go into future seasons with each other. But again, home opener presented by the Stites family, Saturday, October 26th at 7:30 p.m. The Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. That is going to be lots of fun. I'm definitely going to try my best to make it out to that game. I know I was able to make it out to our first ever home opener game, so that was super crazy. Lots of fun, but hopefully we can, you know, do that again. Have a bunch of our guys there, the owners and members here in the AAC, as far as the board, out at that home opener. And as I had mentioned, we also have that full schedule release. So we have the full schedule. This is the 2024 side. We also have one for the 2025 side. Our first game is against the Nashville Aces. That is going to be an away game, October 19th. But again, right after that is that home opener, October 26th, against the Louisville Pros at the Best Choice Fieldhouse. But Aces, Pros, Legends, three teams to start off the season that we faced off against last season. So some familiar faces we may see, and familiar teams as well. Definitely some familiar teams. But we start away, home, and then away. So nice alternation of home and away to start off the season. Then we have a stretch of three home games, um, followed by an away game, then another stretch of two home games and an away game to wrap up 2024. But the first three teams we've matched up against a few times. The Legends we matched up against in the playoff or the play-in game, the first playoff game that we had. Um, and we also saw some familiar faces within our organization on the Legends last year. I know Yogi Anderson was a part of that team, so we'll have to keep an eye on their roster going into this ABA season. See if they still have Yogi and possibly some other guys that we've seen in the past. Aces, though, they were a pretty well-rounded team last year when we played them. I believe they also got the better hand against us. The Legends, though, we were undefeated, I know, against the Legends. So we are looking to continue that streak, and that will be our first game against another team within the state of Indiana. So the bragging rights for the state are on the line there. Then we jump into our first new team that we face off against in this season, the Columbus Wizards. That is November 9th. That is a home game. Again, most of our home games are afternoon or evening scheduled games. And you will notice, I don't know if there's any on 2024, but I think we do have a couple of games back to back the following day. That also helps get us prepared for the playoffs, because we had that play in game where we had the first game on Saturday, then the following game on a Sunday. So it's nice to have that kind of under your belt throughout the regular season. That way you're more prepared when it goes to the postseason. And then once you continue progressing into the rounds of the postseason, that's also how that winds up playing out as well, with one game on a Saturday and then the following on a Sunday, or like two consecutive days in a row when you get further down the line in the playoffs. But again, first new team we get to face off against is the Columbus Wizards. And if I'm not mistaken, that's Columbus in Indiana. So another Indiana team to go up against. And that is, going to be a new team for us, first time ever. And let me see if I can pull up some information for them. It is Columbus, Ohio, not Indiana. Columbus, Ohio. So apologies for that mistake there. But they are Columbus, Ohio. So not another Indiana team. Shows my knowledge of the geography up in the Midwest, or whatever region that would be. But yeah, the Columbus Wizards are Columbus, Ohio. Just wanted to double check that. But that will be a fun matchup there. They've got a pretty cool logo. If I'm just basing their team off of the logo, that is a pretty good logo. I will say that. Uh, Wizard with the basketball with the city skyline behind him. Back when I played basketball, one of my nicknames was the Wizard. That was because I could, do some layups and some finishing moves, throw the ball up, and somehow it would fall down like magic. That was pretty much my only nickname when it came to basketball. Um, Being a big man that is 6 foot and kind of skinny, that's about all I wound up doing when I played. But anyways, the next game is the Ohio Kings, another Ohio team. That game, the Kings, we saw a few times last season, and they were led by high scoring offense. And it will be interesting to see if they have some of the same players returning this year. Uh, I know that their leading scorer did get an opportunity to play down in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, right at the end of last ABA season. So it'll be something to keep an eye on as the season starts up for the Ohio Kings, if they are still as dominant as they were last season. They wound up finishing the regular season undefeated. However, they did fall in the postseason. But again, their leading scorer left the team when it came to that time, as he had a deal for a team, I believe in Mexico. And then we go to a couple of games. There we go. We got 2 games back to back against the Pitbulls. And let's check my geography on this one. That is Illinois. So they are based out in Illinois, the Pitbulls. Again, pretty cool logo for a new team that we get to face off against. Believe we may have had a game scheduled initially or at some point against the Pitbulls last season. However, things did not work out for that, and we rescheduled that game to something else. But I feel like I remember seeing that logo at some point. Maybe that was just something we talked about, but I think that was a team we had discussed. Possibly playing against last season, but this will be our first matchup against them. And we'll have 2 back-to-back weekends against the Pitbulls. So one home and one away. Be a nice matchup for both of us as we get to see in that first quarter of the season where we match up. And then this is, I think, going to be kind of like a self evaluation when it comes to that second game. How can we learn from our first matchup against a team going against the second matchup? And then I think being on the road on that second matchup is actually more beneficial to us, knowing what we can learn in that first game and implementing it on the second game. Obviously the road game is going to be tougher, but that'll be the good judgment there to see how we improve from that first into that second game. Then we have another matchup against the Legends back at home, and that will be our second team we have 2 matchups against. And then we have a matchup against the ABA champions of last season, the Chicago Fury. December 21st, right before Christmas. We have a home game against the defending ABA champions. That really is going to be an important game when it comes to seeing how we rank in the first half of the season. And we've got one more game after that. But that game, I know we played against the Lions a few times last year. That game against the defending champions always means a little bit something more. And I think it's going to be the same case when it comes to this season against the Chicago Fury. But I think that's a pretty cool thing to say as well, that we continue to have games against the defending champions of the ABA. In our second season, we played against the defending co-champions in season one. Now we have games scheduled as well against the defending champions in season two. Hopefully, when it comes to the third season, if we're not the defending champions, we'll be playing the defending champions as well in that third season. And then we wrap up our 2024 season. It's 2024-2025 season, but the first half of the season is in 2024, October through December. We'll wrap up that part of the schedule against the Columbus Wizards on the road. So first game of 2024 and last game of 2024 on the road. But we do have a nice stretch of home games there in November, a couple in December, and we've got that home opener October 26th, presented by the Stites family against the Louisville Pros at the Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana, the new home venue of the Hoosier State Instigators. Again, later start times though, when it comes to games this season. Honestly, for myself, I think that's a little bit better in my opinion. I prefer the later start times. It gives people time to do stuff in the morning. If you have work, get off of work and then sit down, relax, enjoy the Instigators, whether that's in person or on the live stream on Patreon. Let's jump into our 2025 season schedule. So second half of the season, we'll jump right into a couple of home games. First one is against the Aces again, a team we've played against a few times in the past. January 4th is that first game of 2025. One week after, we've got our first games that I was mentioning. We have a couple of weeks like this where we have two games in a weekend. So the 11th and the 12th, we've got games back to back Saturday and Sunday. That first one is at home against the Midwest Monstars. Pretty cool team name. I'm sure everybody knows the reference there with the Monstars. But yeah, that's a pretty cool team name there. Then we go on the road to the Michigan Blaze. So quick turnaround there. We'll have to see what time that game is against Blaze, because obviously, we're going to have to travel to Michigan for that. But hopefully it's not too early in the day. But pretty cool logo there as well with the Blaze. They have the M with the basketball on fire, and then Blaze in cool bold font. But I will say, all these teams, regardless of whether we've played against them in the past or these new teams, pretty good, pretty solid logos. But obviously we've got the best one when it comes down to it. Designed by our guy 2Z Designs. I'll always shout out to him. It's an awesome design. If I didn't think so, it wouldn't be tattooed on my chest. Anyway, so we've got our second matchup there against the Chicago Fury, the defending champions of the ABA. That one is on the road January 18th. So we've got a couple of home games to start the season, start 2025. Then a road trip, 3 games against the Blaze, the Fury, and the Blaze again for a second matchup. Then we come back at home against the Ohio Kings, a familiar foe, the highest scoring team we played against last season. So again, that'll be interesting to see as far as who returns for the Kings. But last season, they were a very dominant regular season team. Then we go back on the road for another 3 games against the Pipples, the Midwest Monstars again, another matchup there against both of those teams. And the Ohio Kings, we get another matchup against the Kings. Our final game of the season, though, is scheduled for March 1st. So our season will run from October through March. That is a good number of months. So we definitely got you covered for a while once we do get started on that ABA season. And you can catch a bunch of Instigators games just about every weekend from October through March. We'll jump into it in a little bit, but you can get tickets over on the website. Again, www.apexofsports.com/tickets will get you directly to that. You go right on the website though, and you'll have options right there. That last game, though, is against the Maysville Miners. That will be our only matchup on the season schedule against the Maysville Miners. So that will be an interesting matchup. And again, another interesting logo. It's like a little basketball with a emblem around it. But that will wrap up our season with our final home game there. So that'll be, I'm sure we'll do something special for it, but it'll be pretty cool to have the final home game of the season, or the final game of the season, be a home game, and kind of rally everybody going into the playoffs for that. So looking forward to that. Obviously, we've got some improvements when it comes to the broadcast. We're hoping to get that implemented in this season of our streaming for the ABA season. We got the upgraded camera. We're working on getting things set up a little bit better as far as the back end of things. Probably, at least hopefully, upgrading some of our commentary, having more people on site, and being able to provide more of an on-site analysis with that. Obviously, one of the things that opens this up is having our new head coach, Coach Dobbs. Last season, we had Coach Frosty, who did an amazing job filling in, but obviously that tied us up as far as some of the things that we wanted to do. We weren't able to quite do to that extent. I know we had the scoreboard that we could run some streams, but we had that on and off. That's one thing I know for sure we are trying to improve upon in this season. The camera angles and the camera quality, we did get upgraded. We got the ball tracking AI camera. Last season, we had the manual camera. Shout out to Ronan, though. He did an amazing job the whole season on that camera, and especially with the camera that we had. That was kind of just a blind shot that he had, and he did an amazing job with that. Now we've got AI camera that can track the ball itself, so that again opens up some more possibilities with upgrading our broadcast going into this season. So definitely, lots and lots to be excited for this second season for the Hoosier State Instigators. Schedule is out now. That means you can go ahead and get your tickets. If you haven't already gotten a season ticket, you can go over on our website and get tickets. Let's jump over to the website here now. All right, and that's the wrong screen. Let's jump on to it is this one. All right screen this time. You go right on our website here, apexofsports.com, and you'll see we have the schedules here right up front and center on that homepage for the 2024 and 2025. Also got information on sponsorships. Again, if you are interested or know somebody that would be interested in potentially sponsoring the Hoosier State Instigators, you can go over on our website. We have a link here at the top as well for sponsors. But we have some new graphics here as far as some different levels. Again, we have custom levels as well, in addition to these listed. Contact information if you want to hit Corey up directly, and the email as well. That news clip that we had not too long ago, you can go and watch that directly from our website. And if you click on either one of these graphics, or you go over to this tab over here, games and events, that'll get you to our ticketing. So apexofsports.com/tickets, and you can go on there. We've got it all up now, and you can see that Instigation Nation 3-on-3 tournament as well right there. Season tickets, you can go ahead and buy them right here on the website. We've got it integrated here Through Passage is who these tickets would be through, but it's integrated directly onto the website. You can get your season tickets. All the home games would be included on that for $89.99, less than $100. You get all the home game tickets. Got the season opener there, and then you got all the other games following. And I know that just popped up and popped off, so that the mic should be back on now, but we are working on graphics for the rest of the games. We've got that home opener graphic up, but we wanted to get our tickets up. That way fans can get their tickets ahead of time, and we are working on implementing graphics for the rest of those games. But you got access to that directly, or you can go ahead and get your season tickets here. And I'll click on this just to show you as far as what it'll look like when you're going through this. So if you went ahead with the season tickets, it'll break down all the games you get tickets to. And if you go ahead and buy tickets to an individual game, again, you can click on that and you'll get your tickets directly there. All integrated on our website here. So you can click on that, go through the process here, and you can buy tickets again individually or from the season tickets. And if you're interested or have somebody that would be interested in signing up for the Instigation Nation tournament, you'll click on that down here and you can sign up directly on the website here for that $200 registration fee. But again, we've got season tickets available, individual game tickets available, all up on the website now. All home games again are at the Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana, the new home venue of the Hoosier State Instigators. And the schedule is right up on the website as well, too, just in case you want to take a screenshot of it or download the pictures there. We've also got it posted over on our social media pages as well. And I know like I said, we've had bunch of our guys pushing it. I know Stunaway especially has been making a good number of posts about our upcoming schedule and the 3-on-3 tournament. And as always, we continue to try and upgrade our website here. You now got a watch tab. I'm not sure if we had that last time I showed you the website. If you click on that, that'll actually pop it up to our YouTube page, and you can watch some previous games. The Instigators, you can learn more about the Instigators, the roster, stats, and records. I think the roster still is our old roster, if I'm not mistaken, though. Once we get so it is our 23-24 roster. As we get to official announcements for all of our roster into the 24-25 season, then we'll continue to update that. Opportunities for everybody to get involved. If you want to become a player in the future, you can go to that. Fan voters, again, I mentioned earlier in the stream, opportunity to help shape the future of the Apex Athletic Collective and the Hoosier State Instigators. You can go there and learn more about that, as well as if you are looking to be a volunteer or an intern for the Instigators. We can definitely use some more hands, as always, when it comes to this upcoming season. You can click on that and fill out a form if you'd be interested in that. We definitely would love anybody that wants to be involved with that. We welcome with open arms. The shop, as always, we continue to update it. We got 2 of those player shirts up here in the shop. We're continuing to put more of those up and should have at least some, if not all, of the returning announced players here in the near future for graphics on that. Again, sponsors. This is, if you become a sponsor, you'll get put on the website here. Evolve Sports, our first ever player sponsor, like the official sponsor with Mike Pugh. The Stites family, again, they are the sponsor for that first home game. And you can see we've got a couple other sponsors on here as well already. So if you're interested, we can continue to add to this page and see your team or business logo here on our website. And again, if you click that or type on apexofsports.com/tickets, you can go directly to our tickets. Let's jump back to our main screen here. Another thing, I know this wasn't really officially announced, but this is something we had mentioned in the past as far as having the opportunity to help design the shorts for the upcoming season. Didn't have too many options when it came down to it. There was one that just kind of made a lot more sense than the other ones that we had, and they match, our current jerseys, which makes it kind of the obvious choice. But these will be our new shorts going into our second ABA season. If you remember last season, I think we just had plain shorts. But now we've got shorts with that Instigators logo there, which is interesting to note because if you think about it, last season we had our jerseys, again, fan designed, amazing jerseys, but the one thing I did notice when I'm looking at these shorts is we did not have an Instigators logo on the jersey. We had the, Instigators like across the chest and the number and some cool design, but we actually did not have the Instigators logo on the jersey. So this is like the first part of the uniform to have the Instigators logo. So that's a pretty cool thing to think about. And that is what we'll have as our shorts for the official shorts of the Instigators in this upcoming season. I'm sure we'll be adding those to the shop as well at some point. But I think that is pretty much our news, our new Instigator news for this past week. I know we'll probably continue to talk about that more over the upcoming weeks. Probably trying to do some more insight as far as the opponents we match up against for the first time. See if there's any new teams that we're facing against. I think there were a couple when I initially looked through the schedule. And see pull up some stats, kind of break down game by game, maybe do 24 season, or 24 half of the season, and then the 25 half of the season, and kind of do more of an insight breakdown over the next couple of weeks in those matchups. That way we can kind of preview these games before we actually get into the season. And then once we get into the season again, we'll focus on the games of that week, and preview those and recap the game of the previous week. But not too far out, a little bit over a month at this point for our first home game. Uh, Again, that season home opener is in October this year, a month earlier than last year. And once we get started in October, we'll be running through March. And that's regular season. So hopefully it goes a little bit further than that when we go into the postseason. Uh, we'll do one more thing, not Instigators related, but this is, I mean, you probably noticed it as soon as I came on here. My hair is missing. So I know I've been gone for a couple of weeks, busy with some stuff, and traveling and such. So I went back home for the holiday weekend. Home again for me is Pennsylvania, but my home where I live currently is in Florida. But I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I went back to Pennsylvania, and my hair got cut for the first time since I moved down here to Florida. I think that was about 2 years ago. At this point, I think something like that. But that is the first time I went back up there, at least for like an extended period of time. And that is the reason why I got my hair cut. There's only one person, as interesting as this is, that I've had cut my hair throughout my life. and I'll give a shout out to him because that is the guy I have always trusted to do my hair. Got a couple of pictures from this past weekend here. But you can see my hair was a lot longer. If you don't remember, that was past my shoulders, and then obviously I've got the shorter haircut now. And shout out there to Dave. If anybody is in central Pennsylvania for whatever reason, Dave's House of Hair in Pembroke on Canby Street. I think technically it's Harrisburg, but yeah, Dave's House of Hair. He is the guy that has always been my hairdresser. Highly recommend to everybody out there. Pretty popular guy though, so you probably have to schedule a little bit out to get in with Dave. But shout out to him. Amazing job as always. Always a fun time at Dave's House of Hair. But that is just a quick personal shout out there. And that was again the reason why my hair got cut. Now I'm back in Florida, so I won't be cut again for a good bit of time. I will say, hopefully, I think it is long enough at this point, but we'll jump back into the basketball stuff. But yeah, I think it's long enough. At least I have an idea for some Halloween costumes, so it's not short to the point where I can't do that. But that's irregardless. Anyways, once it hits October, we'll actually be playing basketball before Halloween, anyways. That home opener again, Saturday, October 26th, late night Saturday night game, 7:30 p.m. Have fun out in Fishers, Indiana, at the Best Choice Fieldhouse. Again, we're like 20, 30 minutes outside of Indy, so you can go fly into the Indy airport, get an Uber, get a rental car, Turo, whatever, or if your local drive, um, catch the first game at the Best Choice Fieldhouse for the Hoosier State Instigators in their new home venue. It'll be lots of fun. And if you can't make it out, again, we have games from October to March. If there's a game that works for you, go ahead on that website, apexofsports.com, buy yourself some tickets. If not, you can always watch our games on our live streams. Again, if you're not already a subscriber on the Patreon, become a subscriber on the Patreon. And if you join at that fan voter or higher tier, you'll continue to shape the future of the Apex Athletic Collective and the Hoosier State Instigators. We've got lots of things we're getting planned for our fan voters going into the season. Definitely looking to have them a little bit more hands on than we had them last season. And we're going to continue to try to improve that, not only from this season, but in the continuation of the Apex Athletic Collective, to continue to have the fans be more and more hands on, more voting access when it comes to that, and more voting power. That's the home opener, though. That's our big thing for now, as well as coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got that Instigation Nation tournament. Again, a pretty cool name, pretty cool tournament, 3-on-3 tournament, and pretty cool prize. $1,000 prize on the line for the best 3-on-3 team. Again, sign up by next weekend, September 14th. $200 fee. Go over on the website and sign up now. You got a chance to face off against some great teams. Show that you are the best in the area. Take home some cash as well. I think that is going to do it for tonight's episode, though. Again, we've got that schedule out. If you haven't already seen that on social, it's over on the website as well. But we've got the 24 and 25 season schedule out for the Hoosier State Instigators. And go ahead, get yourself some tickets. And, got a little bit more time now this time than last season as far as getting prepared for that season. Really looking forward to this. We think we'll take that next leap forward going into the second season. But until then, as always, be great and instigate.